Good afternoon, my name is Josh from CyclonesOZ, and today another detailed forecast update coming your way. We're going to be talking about some torrential rainfall for southeastern Queensland and northeastern New South Wales, some cold front activity for South Australia, Victoria and Tasmania, and also some cold front activity for Western Australia, and all of that plus more coming up in today's weather forecast. If you are brand new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Your support is greatly appreciated. So we are going to start things off with the current story, which is the winter weather that's brushing up against the southeastern corner of Australia, before moving up into Queensland and talking about the heavy rainfall there, which we'll get to in just a couple of minutes. But you can see a cold front now brushing up against the South Australian coastline, bringing some light to moderate rainfall for areas around the Eyre Peninsula, across towards Adelaide and Kangaroo Island across South Australia. And there is some light to moderate rainfall totals expected throughout the course of today. You can see it here on the radar imagery with the satellite imagery as well, that there are some heavy falls here and there. You can see accumulations expected to be around that 10 to 15 millimetres an hour. In fact, some heavier spots are also expected. This rain here now just starting to eke into the southern suburbs of Adelaide. It will reach the metro area by around midday today in just a couple of minutes or so, and then continue into the southeastern corner of South Australia later on tonight. There could be the odd thunderbolt with this shower activity as well. However, the chances for storms are very minimal. Some light rainfall as well extending up the Eyre Peninsula. They've already had about 5 to 10 millimetres across the last 24 hours in some areas, especially outside of Port Lincoln. That did cop 10 millimetres overnight, and some decent falls as well are possible up towards 10 millimetres as you get out into the northern parts of the ranges outside of Adelaide, and then up towards the northern parts like Port Augusta. There is some rainfall expected out there as well throughout the next couple of hours, but again, falls will be very light. Not expecting much rainfall further north of Adelaide, and the front will completely wither away and die off later on this evening as it gets in towards Victoria. Melbourne expecting minimal rainfall from this front as it gets into the metro area later on tonight into early tomorrow morning. The rainfall is possible across the southeastern suburbs and also in towards the Geelong area, but I do think the metro area of Melbourne will only get a light sprinkle early tomorrow morning, with the rainfall clearing out by sunrise. Tasmania also expecting a couple of drops of rainfall later on today. Again, nothing serious there. There could be the odd snow flurry in elevations above 1,300 metres across Tasmania early tomorrow morning, and about 1,400 metres for areas in Victoria and New South Wales. Again, I don't think there's going to be any rainfall in Victoria and New South Wales early tomorrow morning that will turn in towards snowfall, but there could be the odd flurry across Tasmania's highland. So again, just keep an eye out there if you are interested in snowfall. In terms of rainfall accumulation over the next 3 days, which includes this cold front, it's very hard to predict, but again, rainfall in South Australia will be between sort of that 2 to 10 millimetre mark. Really nothing worth worrying about, nothing really to talk about. In fact, across Victoria will be negligible below 5 millimetres, and it's only the west coast of Tasmania expecting some decent rainfall there, probably about 20 to 25 millimetres outside of what looks to be Low Rocky Point there. So some decent rainfall is possible in Tasmania, but again, rainfall elsewhere will be negligible, and it really only is going to bring a couple of hours of unpleasant weather to Adelaide, Melbourne, and the northern parts and the western coast of Tasmania. This cold front, it really isn't worth worrying about. Now, that is enough talk on what really isn't a concern at this time. What we do have is this weekend a low pressure system expected to develop offshore from the Queensland coastline. We are expecting a lot of rainfall to materialise starting from far north Queensland, which we'll talk about in a couple of minutes, and then heading south. You can see it here really starting to build up offshore from the Queensland coastline by Monday mid-afternoon or mid-morning into early afternoon, and this low pressure system really starting to develop by Monday night with some very heavy falls adjacent to it. You can see accumulations here of around 20 to 40 millimetres every 3 hours. Some very heavy falls expected for locations between Gladstone right down through Bundaberg, Hervey Bay, the Sunshine Coast, down towards Brisbane, the Gold Coast, and as far south as Newcastle and Taree. Even Sydney expecting a couple of drops of rainfall, but the worst of the rainfall will be in the southeastern corner of Queensland. Starting up Monday night and continuing through Monday night into Tuesday morning, the rainfall will persist there. Still expecting falls to be quite heavy through Tuesday morning into early Tuesday afternoon, when they will start to ease off and move into the northeastern parts of New South Wales, and the heavy falls in northeastern parts of New South Wales associated with this low pressure system continuing through Tuesday night into early Wednesday morning. So it really only is going to be about a 24-hour wet period, but we are still looking at accumulations up to 100 millimetres and potentially above 100 millimetres Monday night into Tuesday morning for some of these locations, especially for areas towards the central parts of Brisbane and into the southern suburbs of Brisbane, especially around the Gold Coast and Cape Byron. We're expecting some very heavy rainfall in those areas, so the heads up there. For the higher elevations as well outside of Brisbane, I forget the mountains. I believe one of them is called Mount Tamborine. My geography in southeastern Queensland is absolutely horrible, so please correct me about some of the mountainous names here. We are expecting some very heavy rainfall to fall there, a lot more than what the forecast models are actually suggesting. The rainfall is going to, like I said, ease off by mid-Tuesday afternoon, especially into Tuesday evening, but it will persist for the New South Wales coastline into Wednesday morning before the low-pressure system pulls away early Wednesday afternoon and takes its rainfall with it. So all in all, about 2.5 days of some very wet weather expected for the southeastern corner of Queensland, starting early Monday afternoon for areas around Bundaberg and Rockhampton, and then moving further south through Monday evening and Tuesday morning, and continuing through Tuesday afternoon and into early Wednesday morning for New South Wales. Very heavy rainfall is possible, and even more rainfall is expected when you take a look at other forecast models such as the Access G3. They're actually expecting this weather event to be twice as wet as what the Eastern WF is saying here, with the rainfall really picking up Monday afternoon into something that looks to be really heavy indeed, through Monday evening and into early Tuesday morning, with some torrential falls possible from just constant 6-hourly bursts of moderate to heavy rainfall adjacent to the Queensland coastline down around Brisbane and up towards Redcliffe. And you're talking about accumulations here of around 50 millimetres every 3 hours, and 6 to 8 hours of that sort of stuff really does add up, where you're talking about up to 150 millimetres of the stuff by daybreak on Tuesday, before once again the rainfall clearing out Tuesday early afternoon, moving down the New South Wales coastline on Tuesday afternoon and into Wednesday, before again clearing offshore. So very similar forecast in terms of rainfall timing. However, in terms of rainfall accumulations, the Access G3 is calling for about twice as much rainfall as what the Eastern WF model is calling. Now, I am using the Eastern WF model here. It is the most conservative forecast model in terms of rainfall accumulations. I'm still a little bit uncertain in terms of how much rainfall is expected, but I do feel like at least 50 millimetres is expected for the Brisbane metro area from this rainfall event between sort of Monday early afternoon through to about Tuesday early afternoon. I think there will be places picking up at least 120 millimetres, and possibly locations in the northeastern corner of New South Wales up to 150 millimetres of rainfall. You can see it here on the 5-day accumulations, which just includes Monday. Rainfall accumulations will already be starting to pick up towards 50 or 60 millimetres on Monday alone, and then when you throw Tuesday into the mix as well, you kind of double those accumulations with a further 60 to 80 millimetres expected. And you can see peak accumulations are sure about 100 millimetres, but if you were to take a look at the Access G3 model here, a vast increase of rainfall up to 250 millimetres is possible from that forecast. Again, I do believe that to be very bullish at this time and a very aggressive forecast, but I cannot be writing off between 40 and 80 millimetres for the Brisbane metro area, and for the seaside suburbs, especially south of Noosa down towards Cape Byron, and even as far south as Coffs Harbour, up to 120 millimetres is possible there. Any questions or comments about this rainfall event, please do let me know in the comment section down below. In terms of rainfall accumulations for the cities of Bundaberg up towards Gladstone and Rockhampton, I believe they'll be between 20 and 40 millimetres for those locations. Harvey Bay might be a little bit wetter at 50 millimetres or so, but I do believe once you get up towards Rockhampton, the rainfall will ease off substantially there. And that leads us very nicely into the next part of our video, which is far north Queensland. So later on this week, the forecast has been very much chopping and changing. Yesterday, we didn't look at much rainfall for this weekend, but we are expecting some falls to pipe up on Saturday afternoon into Sunday, and they could be at times heavy with some strong storms possible on Sunday afternoon by the looks of things for areas around far north Queensland. We could be seeing accumulations up towards 20 to 40 millimetres an hour for some areas, and I do believe some very heavy showers will materialise across the far north Queensland coastline around Innisfail and Tully Sunday afternoon. They will ease off by Sunday night into early Monday morning, but we could still be seeing some heavy falls across some parts of far north Queensland on Sunday, which could equate to accumulations, as you can see on the rainfall accumulation map here, up towards 80 to 90 millimetres for some areas, and it will also penetrate inland, with showers and storms expected out towards Atherton and Ravenshoe, up to 20 and 30 millimetres expected for those locations respectively. Innisfail and Tully expecting between 40 and 60 millimetres of rainfall, Cardwell and Ingham as well between that sort of 40 to 50 millimetre mark, and even Townsville expecting a little bit of rainfall from this event here, up to 35 millimetres. Between the other forecast models, however, it is a little bit more uncertain with the rainfall. You can see both the Access G3 and the GFS forecast model not calling for significant accumulations across parts outside of the Cassowary Coast and the rainforests in far north Queensland. However, I do believe that just looking at this setup here, with showers and storms expected to be pretty hit and miss, but still for a lot of locations a big hit on Sunday night, I do feel like rainfall accumulations are going to be quite high for some of these locations here that I have just talked about. Once again, any questions or comments, please do let me know in the comment section down below. I look forward to getting back to as many people as I can throughout the course of today. That basically does it for the Queensland rainfall forecast. We haven't really talked about New South Wales, but again, the rainfall isn't too out of the ordinary there. Still, though, for locations along the coastline, between 50 and 80 millimetres are possible as far south as Sydney, but I would err on the side of caution here and say that rainfall between 30 and 60 millimetres is more possible, especially Tuesday and Wednesday. Again, more on this forecast in tomorrow's forecast update. There'll be a really detailed segment on this because I do want to hammer home as much detail in it as I possibly can. Now, we're going to give some love to the southern states as well, once again, in terms of winter weather. We do have a cold front that, like we talked about in the start of the video, sweeping through, but we're going to push the forecast forward a little bit. We're going to push the forecast forward, rather, to this weekend, where we've got an established high-pressure ridge across the southern states of South Australia and Victoria. That's going to be bringing some cold nights Saturday night and into early Sunday as well. We're expecting a pretty cool night and a cool start on Sunday there. As a cold front wraps itself up and impacts the southwest corner of Western Australia on Sunday, you can see some rainfall expected to pipe up from the early hours of Sunday. We could be seeing up towards 20, maybe 25 millimetres for the Perth metro area on Sunday, but I do feel like rainfall for the suburbs will be averaging between 5 and 15 millimetres. The eastern suburbs will be a little bit wetter with up to 25 millimetres possible, and the southwest corner of Western Australia, where the Capes are, and down towards Bunbury and Busselton, rainfall will be pretty steady between 10 and 20 millimetres there. Not penetrating too far into the wheat belt. The rainfall does die off still, though. Northern communities around Geraldton and Kalbarri could receive rainfall accumulations up towards 10 millimetres as well, but like I did say, rainfall pretty average once you get out into the Murchison and the wheat belt. Very hit and miss out there. There'll be a few showers sweeping up behind it as well, and it will be a wet start to the week next week for the southwest, with rainfall continuing until Tuesday before a cold front wraps itself up and it impacts South Australia and Victoria Tuesday afternoon, and then Tasmania Tuesday evening, with up to 10 millimetres possible for the west coast of Tasmania and little to no rainfall for areas in South Australia and Victoria. Another cold front sweeping up from the south and impacting the southwest, excluding Perth on Wednesday afternoon into early Thursday morning, but the associated low pressure system will bring showers and the odd storm to South Australia through Thursday and Friday before it gets swept up by a high pressure system over the top of Tasmania next Friday and Saturday, and bringing rainfall and a little bit of snow as well to parts of Victoria and New South Wales, where we could be seeing accumulations up towards 20 millimetres on Friday outside of communities such as Wagga Wagga and Albury in Victoria and New South Wales, and some snow accumulations also possible through the highlands of New South Wales and Victoria. There should be remaining high and dry for Tasmania, but just taking a look at this forecast into the next part of, into early parts of next weekend, this is certainly something we're going to have to keep an eye on, this low pressure system. It does look like it could materialise into an east coast low, but we are talking about a forecast 10 days into the future, so take this with a very heavy pinch of salt. Now, I have just completely blitzed through the 10-day forecast for Western Australia, South Australia, Victoria, Tasmania, and New South Wales, and if you did like this format of forecast, then please do let me know in the comment section down below. But I do feel like I've also missed out on a lot of information, so again, if you do have any unanswered questions, please do leave them in the comment section, and I'll get back to as many of them as possible. We'll just touch on temperatures as well for the southeastern corner of Australia through this weekend. It will be a cold start on Saturday morning, with temperatures down to 0 across the highlands of Victoria and New South Wales, and down to about 2 or 3 across the pastoral districts of Victoria, and about 5 degrees across New South Wales and South Australia. Again, a cool day on Saturday. It will warm up across the northern parts of New South Wales, with temperatures into the low 20s there, but it will be struggling to get out of the early to the mid-teens for parts of Victoria, and probably not going to reach out of the teens either on Saturday for Tasmania. A pretty warm day though for the majority of Western Australia on Saturday, with temperatures as high as 22 degrees for the Perth metro area on Saturday afternoon, so pretty warm indeed there. It'll be another cold start on Sunday morning as well for the southeastern corner, with temperatures below 0 across the highlands, and then for Victoria, temperatures pretty close to 0. You can see overnight lows between 1 and 3 degrees for some of these locations. It will get slightly warmer throughout the early parts of next week as well. You can see Monday slightly warmer again, Tuesday also warmer still, remaining mild across South Australia and Western Australia as well. Temperatures pretty close to average there. However, with the passage of another low pressure system, it does look like temperatures could fall off once again for parts of Victoria and Tasmania, and also New South Wales into the later parts of next week. Again, I will keep you posted on these weather events as they do happen. That is all from me today on the winter weather scene, and also the tropical weather scene as well, because that weather pattern that we did talk about at the start of the video with Queensland's torrential rainfall, that is semi-tropical and certainly something we're going to have to be watching. If you did enjoy this video, then please do let me know in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. We're nearing in on 17,000 and your support is greatly appreciated. I do apologise for the really late upload as well. I've had technical difficulties with the YouTube account over the last couple of days, and that's why there was a re-upload yesterday. So this morning's update has kind of turned into an afternoon update. I'm recording this at about 10:30 Australian Western Standard Time. So it is certainly an afternoon update, and I do apologise for that, and I will endeavour to upload a lot earlier on in the day. Hopefully over the coming couple of weeks. I do thank you for watching the video to this point. Your support is greatly appreciated, and especially to the channel sponsors. Their names are on screen right now. I could not run this show without them, so again, special shout out to all of them. Their names on screen right now. But that is all from me today, and I'll catch you all in the next storm. Goodbye.